Hey, welcome back to Edwin Recapped. Today we gonna explain a drama, romance movie, titled, You Get Me. Warning, spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with Tyler, a high school student, and his beautiful girlfriend Alison. He lives with his younger sister Tiffany. His family is financially well off, but his life changed when he met Alison at his high school. Unfortunately, all this time he never invites her to meet his parents because they are rarely at home and are very busy at work. Gil, Tyler's best friend, works in a juice truck. Tyler also works as a waiter at the cafe near the beach, where he and his friend often play together on the beach. At night, they went to go to their friend's party. There, Alison accidentally runs into an old friend, named Chase, and she intends to introduce him to Tyler. A few moments later, Tyler and Chase are talking together. Chase reveals that in San Francisco, Alison used to be a bad girl who likes to party and would often drink and sleep with other men. At the party, Tyler meets a beautiful girl named Holly, and they talk about how he got humiliated. Moments later, Tyler gets angry because Alison has never told him about her past, leading the couple to break up. Disappointed, he decides to leave the party. He meets Holly outside. She invites him to drive around in her luxury car. He accepts the offer and starts to tell her that he just broke up with his girlfriend. She tries to calm him down gradually, and end up partying and sleeping together. The next morning, Tyler wakes up at her huge mansion and meets Holly in the living room with some pictures on the floor. She starts telling her family story that her father has died recently and left a great deal of wealth, while her stepmother travels a lot, causing her to often feel lonely during this time. But now, she is very happy that they can spend the rest of the weekend together at her house. They are doing bang bang all day, and Tyler is seduced by Holly for sex. Seemingly, forgetting all about Alison. After they are satisfied, he realizes that he has to go home because his little sister is home alone. He says the weekend was special and he leaves. When he gets home, he checks his phone and finds that he has received a lot of messages from Mom and Gil, including Alison, telling him where to meet her to solve their problem a few days earlier. The next morning, he goes to Alison's house. Alison apologizes for her behavior and explains that while in San Francisco, she was affected by her bad association there. That's why her family chooses to move here, hoping to live a better life. They finally admit and forgive each other's mistakes, and they choose to get back together again in the end. They also promise not to keep secrets from each other. However, Tyler seems to remember his mistake of sleeping with Holly last weekend, but he still chooses to keep the secret from Alison. In the new semester at school, there is a new student who enters Tyler's class, and it turns out to be Holly. She reveals that now she and her stepmother move into the neighborhood and wants to surprise him that she goes to the same class with Tyler. After class ends, the group gathers in the cafeteria for lunch, and suddenly Holly comes and introduces herself to join them. A panicked Tyler instantly messages Holly to meet him downstairs near the elevator later. They finally see each other after school. At first, she thinks that he wants to bang with her, but apparently, he wants to say that he wants to break up with her because it was a mistake. Sadly, Holly threatens him that he will regret what he did last weekend. The next day, Alison and Holly decide to go to the cafe where Tyler works. There, Holly shows Alison a photo of a man whose face is invisible. Tyler is terrified that she will tell Alison about their bang story, but luckily, she still keeps the secret. Holly begins to hang out and grows closer to them by the day. She also often goes to Alison's house to chat. Meanwhile, Tyler wants to confess to Alison about his affair with Holly, but then Holly decides to stay in Alison's house, causing him to delay telling her the secret. While Alison is sleeping, Holly secretly takes some of Alison's belongings and also a photo of Tyler with Alison. As time passes, Tyler begins to suspect that Holly is dangerous. When he meets her stepmother, Corinne, who reveals that Holly is taking medication for a mental disorder. She seems to have an obsession about something that she loves. Soon, Lydia becomes suspicious of Holly when she discovered Holly's lack of any social media presence. According to her, everyone must have a social media account nowadays, but oddly, she doesn't have one. Holly accidentally overhears the conversation and feels threatened. While they are in the cafeteria, Holly intentionally brings their favorite smoothies to the table, with an especially poisoned one for Lydia. Lydia immediately has a very severe allergic reaction after drinking the poisoned smoothie, so she has to be rushed to the hospital. Alison straightaway escorts her to the hospital while Tyler guesses that his suspicions come true. At one time, Alison tells Tyler that Holly is pregnant. He initially doesn't believe that their previous bang could get Holly pregnant. As a good friend, Alison decides to accompany her through her difficult times. Holly later shows up at Tyler's house, playing with Tiffany. She tells him that she wants the two of them to get back together, but Tyler quickly takes her out by force and pushes her away from his life. After Tyler rebukes her, she comes to Alison's house and tells her everything, that she and Tyler slept together last weekend, as well as the photo of a man that has been seen before as Tyler. Meanwhile, Tyler visits Lydia at the hospital to tell her that he suspects that Holly put something in Lydia's smoothie earlier. He also promises to solve all the problems by telling Alison everything he did before. The next morning, Tyler and Alison meet at the beach, where he confesses everything to her. Alison has known the truth from Holly and decides to ignore his explanation. She is very upset and states that she never wants to talk to him again before leaving him alone. At school, Holly then proceeds to get Tyler suspended from the school indefinitely, telling the teacher that he assaulted her. While on suspension, Tyler finds out from the teacher that Holly's real name is Elizabeth Holly Viola. Then, he looks her up online and unexpectedly discovers that she violently assaulted another female student, and as a result, she was committed to a mental institution for a while. Now he knows why Lydia couldn't find Holly's identity earlier on the internet, because she is a dangerous person. That night, Holly quietly breaks into Alison's house. She manages to kidnap Alison and then tries to lure Tyler into her house by sending him a picture of an unconscious Alison. He sends Holly's home address to Gil and asks him for help and goes there to rescue Alison. Meanwhile, Alison awakens to find that she has been tied up to a chair at Holly's house. Holly starts telling Alison that she's not actually pregnant. She purposely tricked her to make her feel disappointed with Tyler. Shortly after, Corinne comes home and finds Alison tied up. She attempts to rescue Alison. Unfortunately, Holly sneaks up behind her and suffocates her with a plastic bag, killing her. When Tyler arrives at Holly's house, there he grabs a sharp iron for his safety. Then he finds an unconscious Alison, who has been tied midair to the ceiling. He manages to free Alison and they escape outside. Before they can get away, suddenly Holly points a gun at them. Tyler apologizes to her for everything he's done so far. Fortunately, Gil arrives at the wrong time from behind. This takes Holly by surprise, causing her to shoot Tyler all of a sudden. At that moment, Alison quickly takes the sharp iron which Tyler has brought to stab Holly. Tyler, who is dying, says in his mind that love is blind and love can destroy everything, but he is lucky that he and Alison can survive the tragedy. Holly, who is still alive, is taken to the back of an ambulance and asks the paramedic man to never leave her and makes him promise. In the end, they end happily, celebrating Tiffany's birthday party. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.